Functions and Forms of Government, Chapter 13. Are governments necessary? To answer this question, all we have to do is look around the world to see what happens when an effective government does not exist. Iraq, for example, after the U.S. Army moved in, the country was left without an effective government, and anarchy and looting were widespread. In Somalia, for example, where in 2009, because no effective government existed, competing factions fought for control, spreading devastation throughout the countryside, looting, raping, and murdering almost indiscriminately. The list can go on, but these two examples make the point: effective government is necessary. Government is a set of institutions by which a society is ruled. In the first part of this chapter, we look at various functions of government. Then in the second part, we consider the various forms of government and how they operate. Finally, in the third section, we examine various views of government. As with all social institutions, there is a presumption that if an institution exists, it serves some function. Government is no exception. The functionalist approach to government argues that what exists must exist as it is and not tampered with, because it serves as a necessary function. That is too rigid a position for some or most social scientists, but that doesn't mean that the functionalist approach is not important. Now let's go over the primary functions of government. The first is maintaining internal order and external security. Government, as the guardian of internal social order, employs police, prisons, and courts in its attempts to protect a person's property, rights, and whatever society designates as worthy of preservation. None of our other social institutions could exist without this domestic tranquility, the peace and safety that government provides. Wherever law and order break down, the government is unable to perform its other functions. The people become fearful, and all aspects of society begin to disintegrate. Anarchy is a society without government or law. The second functions of government is ensure justice. Justice is the maintenance or administration of what is considered fair, by law or by judicial proceedings. It is a concept that involves the relationship of individuals and groups, both to society and to one another. Though justice means different things to different people, and no one definition has been agreed on that describes its content, nearly every society considers it to mean to everyone their due. People have confidence in their governments to the extent that they deal out rewards and punishment in accordance with the popular concept of justice. People willingly submit their private disputes for public settlement when they have faith that justice will be done. For example, a person whose home has been burglarized is generally willing to have the burglar prosecuted in a court of law, rather than attempting to secure personal revenge, as long as that person is convinced that the courts will deal fairly with this matter. When government fails to perform this function adequately, or loses the ability to enforce its decisions, lawlessness begins to spread, and revolution may even result. Another example of this is the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Rodney King was caught by the Los Angeles police after a high-speed chase on March 3, 1991. The officers pulled him out of a car and beat him brutally, while amateur cameraman caught it all on videotape. The 4 LAPD officers involved were indicted on charges of assault with a deadly weapon and excessive use of force by a police officer. However, after a 3-month trial, a predominantly white jury acquitted the officers, inflaming citizens and sparking the violent 1992 Los Angeles riots. The third functions of government is safeguard individual freedoms. Without some kind of government, there can be no organized, stable society, and without a stable society, there can be little real freedoms for individuals. All governments profess to try to safeguard certain freedoms by maintaining law and order. But like the case of ensuring justice, not all governments actually do so. Democratic governments go further than non-democratic governments. They have come to accept the defense of individual freedoms as a primary function. For example, the Constitution of the United States declares that a fundamental purpose of the Union is to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. But in past times, when modern democracies were in the early stages of their development, government was often considered the enemy of freedom. Faith in government as a defender of individual freedoms has developed slowly over the years. Until now, in modern democracies, there is a trend to look toward government for protection. Our federal government, for example, has taken action against monopolies, corrupt political practices, and discrimination against ethnic minorities and women. There are, to be sure, two sides to this picture. Sometimes government regulations unjustly or needlessly restrict personal freedom, and there is always the danger that the government may fall under the influence of special interests and fail to reflect the will of the majority. There is also likely to be debate about how much individual freedom should be infringed on to protect society. For example, after the 9/11 attacks, the U.S. Congress passed the Patriot Act, which gave the government the right to detain people it felt might be terrorists or others who might support them. The act generally broadened the circumstances under which surveillance was permitted, especially with online activities. The fourth functions of government is to regulate individual actions. In the growth of modern societies, many institutions and groups have developed to perform various functions. Some of these institutions and groups provide important social services, but often they also have selfish interests that are contrary to the welfare of society. An example of this is where the government may find it necessary to regulate their activities. Public utility enterprises illustrates this very well. Because of the nature of their business, they tend to be monopolies, and in the past, when they were left to themselves, they often charged excessive prices and gave very poor service. Therefore, to protect the public, the government established procedures for controlling them. Since the 1980s, both in the United States and in other countries, many public utilities have been privatized, that is, sold by the government to private companies. And the last functions of government is to promote the general welfare. Government provides the institutional structure within which economic and social interaction can take place. It regulates the economy, levies taxes, and prohibits, protects, and provides services to benefit individuals, groups, and the whole of society. Whether we think about it or not, every person every day is affected by the demands of government and by the benefits it provides. Whenever citizens leave home in a car, they drive on streets and roads provided by government. They can enjoy parks set aside by government. They can send their children to government-supported schools. They travel abroad with government-issued passports. And in case of trouble, can go to the consular or diplomatic agents of their government for aid. They can receive help from the government when they are unemployed or disabled. And if accused of breaking a law, they can be heard in a court established by government. These are only a few ways in which individuals are affected, controlled, or benefited by government, all for the purpose of promoting the general welfare. Government is by far the most powerful of all social institutions. Politics is the means by which individuals affect government. Because of the importance of government and politics, an immense area of study called political theory has developed to study government and politics. Political theory is that area of inquiry dealing with the nature of government and politics. Now, there are three views of the nature of government. To organize our thinking about these issues, it is helpful to differentiate the following three views of nature of government. First is government as a necessary evil. Government follows us all through life, telling us what we can and cannot do. An example of this is we can only become a lawyer or doctor by securing a license from the government. If we earn any money, government claims a share of their taxes. The second is government as a positive good. Government is the most advanced art of human relations. It dispenses the various services that the complexities of civilization require or make desirable. It is designed to keep in balance the various competing forces that's presented in any society and to satisfy the dominant contemporary demands upon it. As a result, it serves as a high purpose. It is the cohesive quality to our civilization. And the last is government as an unnecessary evil. Writers of the communist doctrine offered another picture of government. Communism is a theory of social organization based on the holding of all property in common, actual ownership being ascribed to the community or state. Marx, Lenin, and Stalin, for example, portrayed government as an instrument of oppression, quote, special machinery for the suppression of one class by another, end quote. In this respect, communist theory resembles that of the anarchists. Communists have always considered government to be an unnecessary evil and have advocated the eventual abolition of all political authority and all instruments of coercion. So how powerful should the government be? What role should it play in society? Another way to classify people's views of government is by how strong a role they see government playing. And in this figure 13.1, it represents various classifications of people's views, starting with those who see the least role of government and ending with those who see the strongest. As you review the chapter, you can read about the three different views of the role of government, and you can see the distinction between liberals and conservatives. And you'll see that it's not as clear-cut as they would like it to be. All of these views of the role that government plays in society contain elements of truth. Differences of opinion arise in part from differences in governments and in part from different functions that every government performs. Governments have been oppressive and have exploited the masses. They have at times been almost exclusively concerned with restraining the unruly elements in human society. They have also been used by society to promote by positive means the common good. A rational evaluation of government must be based on many considerations. And important among these is an examination of the primary functions of government common to all modern societies. After reviewing this chapter, take the time to go into the video section of your class and connect with chapter 13 and 14 by watching the video Basic Forms of Government, the Political Spectrum. The video might not allow you to play it within the course. However, if you click on the YouTube section, you will definitely be able to view it.